Prime Speaker Zagana, Sylvan Primordial. He's doing a lot of ramping. One of my favorite cards I see in this deck is Progenitor Mimic, which is just one of my favorite cards in general that's not seeing like any play. I wish it was seeing more play, but you also got Jace, you got Xenagos, you got Garrett Caller, Beast, Mizian Mortars, and 4 copies of Iconic Rift. And unsurprisingly, the thing that kind of holds this whole pile together is Nykthos.
Yes.
That's the mana generator. That's why you see the creatures that you do see here and the selections that you do see allow you to provide a ton of mana to be able to overload the Rift, overload the Mortars, or cast a Xenagos, or cast a Progenitor Mimic or a Garrett ahead of schedule. Temple of Abandon going to start things off here for Williams. He's going to take a look at the Scry as we are underway in round number 5 of 11 here in our standard open. Going to put on the bottom. Corvese going to draw a card, play an island, and just pass it back. Now Corvese, Patrick, he's not really going to do much of anything.
No, he's going to sit back. He's going to fend off Eric's most significant cards, try to set up some sweepers, eventually get to the point where he can rev, and then Elixir of Mortality or Codex Shredder will make the rest of it elementary.
The old Codex Shredders. You see a Syncopate there in Corvese's hand. Draws a Sphinx's Revelation, plays the Plains, and passes the turn back. Now, of course, with blue-white control, much like blue-black control that we saw a couple weeks back in the Japanese Grand Prix, you get to play a lot of basics, which is certainly one of the benefits of this deck. So that your lands aren't coming to play and tapped a bunch, like we see with Esper and other blue-white-red type strategies. Steam Vent's going to come and play untapped here for Williams. It's going to go down to 18. It's a deck that, as you mentioned kind of a little bit earlier, a few rounds ago, that it was kind of the hype coming into the Invitational in Vegas a few weeks back. Didn't really live up to the hype as much. Burning Emissary into Witch Stalker. It's going to happen here for Williams, but Corvese's off to a pretty nice start with it.
Yeah. Able to break serve a little bit here with the Syncopate. And again, all he's trying to do is give himself the breathing space to set up a big Revelation.
Okay. That is the plan. Chain Revelations, and then your opponent really can't come back because he does play a third land. Going to cast a Divination. Draw 2 cards. Another sign of a healthy constructed format when Divination is playable.
Yep, I mean, usually the card drawing options, they've been think twice or better type of effects, and Divination's totally fine at getting the job done.
Mutavault going to be the land here for Williams. He does have 3 copies of those in his 3-color deck. He's going to play another copy of Witch Stalker and attack here with Burning Emissary. So he's building up his devotion count a little bit. Don't think he has a Nykthos in his hand just yet, but he does have 4 copies of that card in his deck.
I think I might have saw a Nykthos.
There's Nykthos hiding out in there?
I don't know if he has any payout, but
for Corvese, you probably want to cast a Verdict if you have one, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So take care of the Emissary and the Witch Stalker, Will Harry, before passing the turn back over to Williams. He'll take a draw. Looks like he drew a Jace Archidectopod for the turn.
Which he can cast. I feel obligated to check his lands just to make sure, because there's so many different. He, cast a Witch Stalker last turn. And
reveals a Prime Speaker Zagana, a Nykthos, and a Temple of Mystery. So if you're Corvese, you're probably thinking, all right, what is this guy up to here? He's got Nykthos, he's got Prime Speaker, he's got all sorts of mana.
I feel like the cat's kind of out of the bag at this point. He's got a bunch of quality creatures and Prime Speaker and some things to Nykthos into.
He's going to take the 2 cards with Williams. He's going to take the 2 lands, put Prime Speaker onto the bottom, so it'll be a while before we end up seeing that card again. Going to play Temple of Mystery. Time to scry. Leaves the top card on top. And, well, actually he's going to move it to the bottom. Reconsiders. Does move it to the bottom. And he's going to pass the turn back to Corvese, who, again, we're just going to watch Harry do basically a lot of nothing, just answering exactly what Williams is up to.
He's trying to make his land drops, trying to make sure Eric never gets to resolve anything too threatening.
Yeah. Now, one thing about Harry for this particular tournament, he started off with a loss. Now, starting with a loss at any tournament is never the best way to get the ball rolling, but an 11-round tournament where you almost certainly cannot draw the final round means you have to run off 10 in a row to be able to make the top 8, and you have to run off 13 in a row to win the tournament, which is pretty crazy. So we're going to see a Revelation here for 2 from Corvese. He just wants to make sure that he keeps hitting his land drops.
It's also possible that he has a backup Revelation, so he's just trying to... Happy to fire this one off.
So let's see if he does have a land actually to play this turn. Because I don't know if he had any other lands when he actually played that. I'm not sure if he has a land right now. He's got an Attention Sphere he's brought to the forefront, but he might actually be stuck on lands in a deck that plays a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, he has I believe he has an Azorius Charm he can use to cycle and try to find another card, but land drops are the most critical thing for these decks. Traditionally, these blue-white lists are playing 26 lands. I occasionally see 27. Mana is the big thing.
Cyclonic Rift is going to... The Hidden Sphere is going to take care of Jason. Cyclonic Rift is actually going to bounce the Detention Sphere. So Jace is actually going to reset at 4, so that's actually a creative play there from Williams to make sure that he can use his Jace a bunch.
I also like it because it's challenging for Eric to use these Cyclonic Rifts productively.
Yeah.
And, anytime he can cash them in for reasonable value, he should try to pick that spot because they're not going to be very good here otherwise.
And I feel like that's exactly what he did on this particular turn.
Also,
as you mentioned, it's not going to get much better.
Also causes Harry to discard for hand size, too.
Harry discards a Ratchet Bomb before passing the turn back. Temple of Abandon, the draw here from Williams, but his Jace is reset at 4, so wouldn't be surprised to see him start by minusing that to look for some more cards. And that's where the fun begins. So off the top comes a Stomping Ground, another Jace, and another copy of Cyclonic Rift. Planeswalker Versus, says Corvese, and the 2 cards are going to go to Williams' hand. Oddly enough, Williams, he hasn't played a land just yet. Not sure. Well, he does have an untapped one now because it's Stomping Ground, but Sylvan Primordial could actually be really good right now if it does resolve.
Yeah. It's good once it's in play, right?
Yeah. Now here's 7 mana, and here is the Primordial. You see Harry consulting his hand. I'm not convinced he has a counterspell right now for this, and he does not. So Plains is going to be targeted. Azorius Charm is going to get cycled, so Corvese can try to find a land. But the Primordial, that bad boy's going to resolve, my friend.
So the Primordial is going to go searching here.
A real shame that these cards weren't good in their limited format. Just because they were too expensive.
I think the speed of Gate Crash as a format was overstated. I think these cards were fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. I played a lot of 18 land Esper decks.
You did top 8 that. You did top 8 that Grand Prix in Charlotte last year.
I think that format was not nearly as fast as people felt it was.
Okay. Either way, 6/8 Reach in play comes into play, destroys target non-creature permanent, so it can destroy a card like a Detention Sphere and some other things. You can just search for a forest card. Now, keep in mind that can be a Stomping Ground, that can be a Breeding Pool. So the Primordial can search out. Heck, it can be a Dryad Arbor if we were in a format where that were legal.
Right. What is that? Once you have 7 mana, what's the thing you want to be doing? Casting Farseek. You know?
Azorius Skillgate going to play here for Corvese. He's kind of in a rock and a hard place right now where he's stumbled on mana. There's a 6/8 that's ready to attack, but there's also a Planeswalker that's ready to draw some more cards. Corvese is going to play a Jace of his own. He's going to start by turning over the top 3, see if he can catch up here. There's a D-Sphere, the Codex Shredder, and Dissolve.
I suspect Eric will read it.
And I think we will too about the Codex Shredder, because I didn't really see this one a lot. Now, target player puts the top card of his or her library to his or her graveyard, and you sacrifice the Codex Shredder, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a weird one.
I sided in this bad boy a lot in Limited. I have not seen too
Really?
much. Yeah. But I mean, again, once you're revelating, once you're in that stage of the game, it's pretty flexible. It can get back a counterspell or a Wrath or another Rev or whatever it is that you need to do. It actually can be situationally good against opponents scrying. If they leave something on top, you just get it.
Yep.
And it's another cheap millstone effect to win control mirrors, and we've seen, whether it's Nephalia Drownyard or Ashiok or whatever, we've seen cards play that role in control mirrors before. It's very hard to win through damage or by attacking with creatures, and so you want to go this alternate route. And Codex Shredder enables that at a fairly low opportunity cost.
I miss the good old days when you just got to play good old Millstone.
Actual Millstone.
Yes, actual Millstone. Where I believe the term milieu comes from.
Yes.
Is milling.
The origin is Millstone.
Yeah. That was a great way to win. Just really put the opponent in the old hard lock, as it were. Really grind him down as Jace is going to turn over another copy of itself, a Pelucranos, and a Breeding Pool. Corvese going to split these. Jace and Breeding Pool versus, maybe? Looks like he's a little bit unsure of himself. Decides to go with this route. So Jace is going to go to the grip for Williams.
And I like taking Jace here if you're in Eric's spot. Taking more creatures is pretty risky because of the threat of Supreme Verdict. So just keep your card, just keep drawing cards and pressuring Harry where you can, but make sure that you're not, too soft to just a Supreme Verdict or a removal spell. Keep the cards coming.
So a lot of lands, a lot of cards in hand here for Eric. Looks like he may play a Jace pre-combat here so he can add to that. So he is going to play another copy of Jace. Corvese being tapped out, certainly can't have an answer, so we'll see what the Planeswalker is going to do. It's going to go down again. So top 3 cards. We have a Swamp that's altered, we have a Forest, and we have a Burning Tree Emissary. I believe that's a Swamp. Oh, no. Oh, boy. I take it back. Wow, he actually owns one of those? That's insane.
What is that?
It's the Comic-Con Garrick.
Oh, wow. Hey, big spender.
I'm pretty, yeah, that's a Comic-Con Garrick.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. My director said, let me know when this guy walks out in the parking lot so I can get that. Those, for those of you who aren't aware,
I've never actually seen one of those in my life.
I've never seen one of those in play in a game. That's for sure, because I don't ever see anyone play them. Also, they're incredibly hard to get. And the price tag on that, I don't have obviously a guide on me, but it is some inordinate amount of money to have one of those. So that's impressive.
See the Mutavault there take out Jace while the Primordial came across for 6.
It's very rare when we don't see a card that we don't know.
I'm usually pretty sharp about that stuff.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
I thought it was a heavily altered Swamp in his Rug Devotion deck. What's wrong with me?
Looking down at the deck sheet, trying to see what the splash is for.
Why would he play a Swamp? That doesn't make any sense. No, it's a Garrick. Either way, Corvese is in a bad spot right now. Between the Garrick in Williams' hand, the Primordial and Mutavault in play, Jay sitting here willing to draw some more cards. He's in a bad way right now.
Yep. The only thing that the only saving grace here for Harry is that Eric does draw a lot of cards that are dead or underwhelming in the matchup, and so he still might be able to overpower him just with Revelating. But certainly he is not in a good spot right now.
So in comes the 2 copies of Mutavault and the Primordial. Harry's going to end up taking 10, goes down to 4. See if Williams has anything he wants to do on this follow-up turn. He has not used Jace yet. He's going to tick it up so it's not gone. Going to play Temple of Mana and get the Scry action on. That's going to go to the bottom. We'll see if he wants to cast any more spells in this particular turn. He is, of course, facing, Harry does have up 6 mana. He's going to go with a copy of Voyaging Satyr. So Williams' deck does a little bit of everything here. As Corvese is going to resolve a Revelation, he's going to draw 3 cards, gain 3 life, go up to 7, dissolves among them. I think what he's looking for right now is a verdict to try to clear things up, but Mutavault's still going to be an issue.
Yeah. It's not like he's that thrilled about the idea of Azorius charming that Primordial on top of the deck. So.
Yeah, I don't think so. I do not think so. See him tapping Mutavault here. Feels like we might see an Elixir. Elixir puts him at a virtual 12. So this means that he would be able to make it another turn from what's on the board right now. You've got this 6 from the Primordial, 4 from Mutavaults, 1 from the Satyr. That's going to be 11. Elixir will put Corvese up to 12 upon activation. So Williams would have to deal another 1 at this juncture.
And answering those Mutavaults is another thing that Harry needs to find out sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I would say he's got about a turn or 2 to take care of those before he's taking care of himself. There's a Cyclonic Rift going to bounce the Elixir, which forces Corvese to use it right now unless he wants to pick a counter war over this, which I can't imagine he would want to. So, again, don't forget, Corvese does have those 2 copies of Dissolve in his hand. He's going to actually use the Elixir right now and go up to 12. Again, Cyclonic Rift's not going to play a huge role in this matchup, so I actually kind of like to use the Cyclonic Rift there, where, again, it doesn't seem like it's really doing anything, but it's better than what it's actually doing, which is just going to rot in his hand.
And making Harry potentially re-spend that mana if it goes back to his hand, or, forcing him to use his mana now and potentially setting up a big turn through his now 1 counter spell. There's a lot of merit to that play.
All right, Corvese going to discard for the turn. He's going to discard Azorius Guildgate because he was over the maximum hand size. Williams going to untap, put those 2 Mutavaults back in the row, and draw a Nykthos for the turn. And Jace is going to take it down. 3 cards off the top are another copy of Jace, a Sylvan Caryatid, and a Mutavault. Caryatid and Mutavault will go to the side. Jace is going to go, those are going to go to the hand. Jace is going to go to the bottom.
Just taking another Mutavault here.
Yeah. That's the only important card there, it seems like, at this point anyway.
I mean, having another backup Jace could be nice,
Sure.
but I like just adding as many mutables as possible.
So it looks like we're going to see some mutavault activations. And we do. See if Williams is prepared to get into the red zone here with all these creatures. Interesting deck here from Eric.
Yeah. And I've also been a fan of the way that he's handled the game so far.
Likewise. Likewise.
I like where he's, stuck his spots to land his Cyclonic Rifts for some amount of productivity. Not an easy thing to do.
All right, in comes the team. Again, this will be an attack for 11 as Oristorm's going to put the Primordial back on top. So it's going to be an attack for 5, going to put Corvese down to 7, undoing the life gain from the Elixir. But this gives Williams the opportunity to resolve that flashy Garruk Caller of the Beast, if he so chooses.
We've come this far, we're on camera, and you went through all that effort to acquire it. You got to put it into play now.
I would be hard-pressed not to cast it. There's Nykthos, going to replace the old Nykthos. 6. There is the bling. And we have an image of it, which is insane.
Yeah.
There is your Garruk Caller of the Beast from, I believe, the San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep.
I believe that is where it's from, SDCC. And boy, is that pretty. Turn over the top 5, 2 Primordials, and a Sylvan Carrier going to go to the grip. So now, Corvese just got to contend with 2 Planeswalkers, 3 Mutavaults. No big deal.
A bunch of Stone Range 6/8s.
Yeah, no big deal. But he will continue on, admirably.
He has a Quicken in his hand. If Eric is not careful here, he might be walking into Quicken Supreme Verdict, which would at least answer one angle that Eric's attacking him on here.
Now, one thing he can do, Williams, with the Garruk, as you see Ruben Bressler looking on there admirably, is he can minus the Garruk to put the Sylvan into play to kill land, which is something I kind of like too, because it's a green creature. So that's
angles within angles.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. So a free 6/8 comes into play that has a Farseek attached to it. Gets to search for a forest card, and there is a breeding pool. See if Corvese has anything he can do about this. Now, again, you mentioned the Quicken that's in his hand. If he does have Quicken plus a Verdict, it's not so bad.
No, he's still facing 7 cards in hand and 2 Planeswalkers and
a
lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff. But
if it were Quicken Planner Cleansing, now we're talking.
Now we're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
Although I guess he would have to do it right away if it was
Yes.
Planner Cleansing, as he's missing the 3rd white source now.
That's true.
In the event.
All right, after 3 Mutavaults get in the red zone for a lethal attack.
Participate in the main event. Please make sure that you mark drop on your match results slip. If your results slip is turned in,
Looks like Harry's mulling over a block with his Mutavault here.
Come up here and visit the scorekeeper so we can avoid a number of no-show tables in the tournament. Thank you.
Blocks the Voyaging Satyr. So Harry's going to fall to 1 here. We'll see if Eric wants to add anything else here. He's going to plus his Jace.
Not sure he needs anything else on the board. There's another Revelation from Corvese. This one's going to be for 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he's going to go up to 5. And untap here. Still has to overcome these 3 copies of Mutavaults, 2 Planeswalkers, Primordial. It just seems like a real uphill climb.
7 cards in hand.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of dangerous here if you're Corvese because realistically, I don't think there's a great shot for him to win this game. We have his deck list in front of us. There's not really a great string of cards that he can find to actually win himself this game. And draws in most tournaments are pretty bad. A draw in this tournament is particularly bad.
Yeah.
We're looking at 11 rounds. There's a pretty healthy chance that 9-1-1 is not going to make top 8. So
with his first round loss as well.
Yeah, especially with a first round loss. He's got to go 10-1 to make top 8. So in a situation like that, if you're kind of beat in a situation you're like this, I don't think there's any shame in conceding because the blue-white deck takes forever to win, and Harry isn't someone who plays very quickly in the first place.
Well, I think that with the blue-white deck, Harry has a Mutavault in play that can threaten these Planeswalkers, and he's drawn a bunch of cards. He still has Supreme Verdict in his deck. It's not impossible for him to claw his way out of this.
Sure.
I think it's also quite unlikely, but he's not just dead on board. He has some tools to work with here.
And you do see him going through the motions, trying to figure out what he can do. Get himself out of this, moves a Dissolve to the forefront of his hand. That one's not going to be great at this point. Has a Syncopate in his hand as well. He's got a lot of cards, but he's just behind on the board. Excuse me. His hand is so reactive. He's going to discard a Dissolve, pass the turn back. So Williams is going to quickly untap here. Has to probably contend with maybe another Revelation, which would be for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Did you just draw another Comic-Con, Garrick?
No, just 2?
No one owns 2.
No,
That's
no. Lucky enough if anyone owns 1. My goodness.
Turns on his Mutavaults here. Looks like Mutavault is on chump blocking detail.
Yep, almost certainly. 3 mana, 4, 5, 7, Rev. It's going to be for 4. It's going to push Corvese up to 9.
And this is his 4th Rev of the game, I believe.
Now, of course, this deck is capable of casting numerous Revelations because the goal of the deck is to basically clear out all of your cards so that all you're doing is recycling Revelation, drawing a bunch of cards, finding what you need every single turn, and burying the opponent underneath card advantage. So seeing it cast 4 Revelations in one game is not much of a surprise.
Seeing it cast 4 Revelations in a game and lose is pretty surprising.
That takes a lot. That takes a lot. Garrick going to take up 2, 3, 4, 5. So Pelucranos and Witchstalker are going to go to the grip. Lands are going to go to the bottom.
It's funny, Harry's read 4 times. I'm not sure which player has actually seen more cards.
Yeah,
it's possible it's Eric at this point.
Here's a British Emissary, trigger on the stack. Let's see if we're going to do anything with this mana here. 2, 4, 6, 7. Primordial, yes sir. Yep, gonna kill the blue-white dual land, gonna search. Looks like Williams has enough cards in his deck that decking isn't really a concern.
This also may be a record for the most number of times someone's been stone raid in this standard format. I've never seen 3.
Sylvan Primordial reigning supreme on this battlefield. Corvese never able to get his footing. And you see the clock right now. We're about 27 minutes here. Harry again, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come back from this. Jace is going to tick up, pass a turn back. But to have blue-white win 2 games in about 25 minutes, I would be impressed. Halfon going to come into play untapped. Corvese is going to go down to 1. So he has the Quicken Supreme Verdict combo now. That is available. Not sure if he's going to catch him off guard with this or not.
Yeah, the problem is that Eric doesn't need to activate his Mutavaults at this point.
Yeah.
As he can simply send the creatures that are in play first and see what happens.
Looks like Corvese is going to figure out what cards he's keeping and discard. Yep, and this is obviously because his hand size is a little large because of the Revelation. He does discard and pass the turn back. So Williams is going to untap all those lands. And they are a beautiful bunch.
At the risk of saying the obvious, this has been a weird game.
Yes. Yes, it has. Williams is playing a weird deck. And Jace's going to tick down. So here's a Pelucranos. There's a Jace. There's a Burning Tree Emissary. 3 very different cards.
Yep.
Turned off the top. See how Corvese wants to split these. They just represent 3 incredibly different things. So Jason Burning Tree are going to go to the grip. Pelucranos going to go to the bottom. There's the BTE, excuse me. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
What on earth is happening now?
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. 12. Jace. So we've got 8 mana floating. Jace is going to tick down. There's a Nykthos. There's a Temple. There's a Primordial. I think it's going to be Primordial versus. It is. Take that. There's 8 green mana floating. Convenient number. That Temple and Nykthos have to go to the bottom of the deck. So we'll make sure that that's cleaned up in just a moment here. Primordial is going to come to play off of Garrick. Going to take down the Hollowed Fountain, which is going to force Harry's hand with Quicken, Supreme Verdict.
Pretty awesome to be far enough ahead in the game where you can test spell your opponent with a Sylvan Primordial.
Yeah. So those lines are going to go to the bottom finally on Jace. Harry's going to float a white mana. He's really trying to catch him with this Quicken. It's admirable. Don't know if we have Mutavault activations or not yet.
Yeah, I don't know if there is that kind of mana floating. Players trying to count out exactly how much mana got made and how much mana got spent.
So he did not search with the Primordial when it came in. Search out of Forest. So there's some mana floating. Will he actually activate these Mutavaults? This could actually be kind of interesting. There's another Garrick. No big deal. Just another $700 Magic card. He's going to activate one. So he can activate the other two. Again, he doesn't need to activate any of them right now. So if he just plays it slowly, with Corvese at 1 life, there's a Quicken. Draw a card.
Now
There's a Verdict, because he had a white mana floating from the Hollow Fountain. And kill all this stuff. Mutavault's going to float a mana, so that he can activate other Mutavaults. Yeah, he activates this. Yeah, and that's going to do it. So Eric Williams is going to win game number 1 here over Harry Corvese. Harry trying to walk him into a trap there, was unable to.
not for lack of effort.
Yeah, I mean, definitely worth a try. Again, you know, there's a consequence to that action where even if it does work and he catches all that stuff with Mutavaults, he's still going to win that game.
Oh, sure.
It's really, really hard to say. And now he is behind the 8 ball as far as time is concerned. With you guys see the time there, we're about to be underneath 22 minutes, and blue-white. It is not fast.
No,
it is not fast.
Again, his win conditions are Codex Shredder, Elixir of Immortality, and 1 copy of Elspeth. So we're not talking about a deck that's really equipped to win 2 games in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he has anything in his sideboard to speed things up. You have that in front of you.
Well, he has not much. He can bring in Fiendslayer Paladin, but that seems like quite the long shot, to put it mildly. He has a Pithing Needle, a Ratchet Bomb, a Blind Obedience, 2 negates, a Jace, 3 Gainsays, and 3 Last Breaths. I anticipate he'll bring in the 2 negates to fight over the Planeswalkers. The rest of the sideboard doesn't seem really well equipped. Other low impact or situational cards that don't answer the right stuff.
Taking a look here at Williams' side, his deck is already innovative enough. I can't wait to see what's in this board. 2 Mistcutter Hydras, 2 Scavenging Ooze, 2 Rurik Thar, another additional Sylvan Primordial like Trickery, 2 Syncopates, a Lightning Strike, 2 Missing Mortars, and 2 copies of Gruul Charm. So give me that 4th Primordial. Give me those 2 copies of Rurik Thars. Probably want those Mistcutters too, honestly. That's 5 good cards. He's got 2 copies of Syncopate, which could catch Harry off guard. Don't think Gruul Charm has a lot of applications here. Don't think Ooze does. Don't care for Strike or Mortars or the Electrickery. So he's got 2, 4, 5 good cards to sideboard in here. Had some decent cards to sideboard out, honestly. I mean, Cyclonic Rift I think is easy to cut.
Yeah.
Those are like the first 4 to go. And then I think he can board out his 2 copies. He's got 2 copies of Missing Mortars. He can board out one of those, and then maybe boarding like a Lightning Strike for the other Missing Mortars, because Mortars is not really going to do very much in this matchup.
So did you get an opportunity to sign Eric's shirt earlier today?
I did get to sign the back. So as you guys will see there on the right, Eric's shirt has a lot of signatures on it. His jacket is unique, and that is signed by all the MTG personalities that he has met during his time of playing Magic. So he came up to me actually before this match started and asked me to sign it, and I signed on the back.
I signed on the front, on the right-hand side of your screen, so the left side of his body. Near the shoulder, the little light scribbles, that's me.
Oh, that's you. a very distinct signature,
Yep.
so that's good. Easy to point out in a crowd.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to press too hard on signing it. The dude's wearing the shirt or whatever, so.
Oh, sure, I understand. You're so strong, you could put the Sharpie right through him.
That isn't what I said at all.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that I don't, never mind, forget it.
What would you say that you are saying?
What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't lead to the most, the tightest looking signature.
Ah.
Because I'm, try standing with your arm, your arm stretched out as long as it can, barely touching the paper and signing that way. It's like that because I don't want to be pressing down on him.
I
Not
see.
because I'm worried about injuring him.
Oh, I see. I get confused easily.
Yeah.
So it's my fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's my fault. As we are going to be underway here in game number 2 momentarily. Azorius Guildgate going to start the show here for Corvese. Both players are going to keep their 7 under 20 minutes on the clock. Actually, about to be underneath 19. It will not surprise you that the player on the left-hand side of the screen is going to play a whole lot faster this game.
Eric's going to run a really mull over those Scryland versus Ravnica dual turns.
Now, of course, Eric is going to keep his normal pace of play, but from looking how Harry played the first game, yeah, we're in overdrive right now, and understandably so.
Right.
Brady Poole going to come into play untapped here for Williams. He's going to play a Witch Stalker. See if this resolves or not.
Witch Stalker, kind of a cool card. It's good against some control decks because it's hexproof and punishes spells. It's also reasonable against some beatdown decks because 3/3 hexproof is rough on some decks. So
Agreed.
You see Jason a plus here out of Harry.
Yeah, doesn't want to minus it. As he does minus it, he'll get some more cards, but then Witch Stalker can actually finish it off. So now it'll actually be quite tough for that to happen, as we see a Xenagos here from Williams. So he can make a Satyr token if he'd like, which is probably going to be the best bet for this turn.
Yeah, I like just taxing Jace as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree. There is your token, and both are going to get into Jace. So Trigger is going to bring this down to 2. Pass the turn back. So Corvese is going to draw a card. He's going to cash in the Jace. Top 3 cards coming. You got to Pie the Needle. You have a Codex Shredder, and you have an Azorius Guildgate. The split will be Shredder and the land versus the Needle. That's going to go to the bottom. Needle going to go to the grip. Going to cast that. Take care of Xenagos. Basically going to play his land for the turn. Pass the turn back. So Williams going to quickly untap. He'll take a draw. Does have a Temple of Mystery, Syncopate, some other cards in the grip right now. It's going to start with the Temple. Take a look at the top card.
Just a lot of mixture of pressure and good, weird reactive elements here.
Yeah, I mean, reactive elements that are difficult to play around because you don't expect them from a certain deck.
Yep.
I can only imagine playing against Eric and getting syncopated and getting mad about it because I did not see that coming. There's Zorius Charm going to take care of the Satyr token. Witch Stalker going to get a little bit bigger, however.
We'll see if Eric's willing to fight over this. He is not, which I believe is wise.
And then he's going to deal the 4 points of damage. Corvese is going to go down to 16. Let's see if Williams has anything to follow up with this turn. He does not. He just passes the turn back with a Garrick in his hand at the ready.
Yeah, I would be happy in Eric's spot. This Witch Stalker is actually pretty hard for Harry to answer unless he's willing to use a Supreme Verdict. If Harry taps down that low, then feel free to resolve your Planeswalker. But in the time being, just leave your Syncopates up. Just keep pressuring him.
Attack for 4 yet again with the Witch Stalker. So Grace is going to go down to 12. Temple Mystery number 2 going to come into play. Keep the top card on top. Pass the turn back. Now, even though Xenagos can't be used because of the Pie the Needle, don't forget that it can contribute towards the Devotion count for Nykthos because it's not dead.
Yeah.
It is in play. So currently Nykthos is breaking even. See a Mutavault going to come into play. An attack here for 4 from Williams. Going to put Corvese down to 8.
And Williams has been really sharp in these games so far. He has demonstrated a really good knowledge of, how he's supposed to play the matchup out how his cards work and stuff. He's been really sharp.
Syncopate's going to take care of that big revelation on the end step that Corvese really did need to have resolved. There's a Quicken over there in Corvese's hand. I'm not sure if he has Supreme Verdict or not just yet, but he needs to get that Switch Stalker off the board because Williams has proven that he's not going to do anything but attack with this and leave counters up. So here's a revelation. There's Syncopate again, and these Syncopates are actually quite backbreaking right now.
Yeah, these are, and now the shields are down. Eric can land Garrick or whatever. He's also has a Mute Vault in play, so an attack knocks Harry down to 2 at the minimum, and then
he can maybe do both of those things. Steam Vent's going to come into play on tap. Williams going to go down to 16. Yeah, he can do exactly what you mentioned, which is play the Garrick and get in with the Mutavault. So that's where we're going to start, is by attacking, put Corvese down to 2, and get the Bling out there one last time. The Caller of Beast is going to come in, minus that, put a Rurik Far into play. Yeah, that's it. Eric Williams.
That is the perfect, weird, but powerful ending to 2 very weird and powerful games out of Eric Williams.
Give me some